The United States has a new president. He's a Syracuse alum. What's the difference between the White House and the Loud House? Well, the Eagles are not welcome in the Loud House. Boston College topped Syracuse 16-13. Find out how it went down. It's Orange Press Pass, and it starts right now. Welcome inside the CitrusTV studios, everybody. Brad Klein alongside Cameron Ezair and Calvin Cristoforo, socially distanced, of course. Boston College topped Syracuse 16-13, guys, and the Orange are really falling apart here in ACC play. Jacoby Morgan gets the start for SU as a true freshman, his first career start. Cameron, what are your first impressions?
I'm going to start with the offense. They simply cannot get a grip. In this game, well, actually, since the Georgia Tech win, this Syracuse offense has run 57 plays per game. Their opponents, 82 plays per game. You're not going to get any chances when you simply can't keep the ball in your hands. In this game, 6 drives under 3 plays. 4 of those drives, negative yardage. I mean, going into the fourth quarter before that 75-yard drive, Calvin, only negative yardage. Yeah. Seven for negative 12 yards. That's just embarrassing.
Well, Cam, you're looking at the negatives. I'm going to look at the positives. This team has guts. They lose their first 2 running backs to start the season. They lose Tom DeVito. They lose Rex Culpepper. They lose Andre Sisco a couple games in. Trill Williams opts out of the blue this week. It could be very easy for this team to just throw in the towel and give up on the rest of the season. But what do? They go out and play a very good BC team very hard for 4 quarters. Boston College almost beat Clemson this week, and Syracuse hung with them this whole time. I loved the fight I saw from this team today.
Well, you mentioned, Calvin, that Boston College almost beat Clemson and that Syracuse has so many hurdles in this season so far. But don't take our word for it. It's Syracuse and Boston College, old Big East rivals, and Jacoby Morgan making his first career start. But Phil Jurkovec, he's been around the block. He knows what to do. The name of the game is Get Zay Flowers the Football. He goes for 39 yards in the first quarter. Boston College, though, could not convert into the end zone. They settled for a field goal 3-0 early. We go to the second. Early in the second, Jacoby Morgan knows, hey, get the ball to your playmakers. That's Taj Harris for 21 yards down the right sideline. This time, again, Syracuse could not convert in the end zone. Give him 3 points courtesy of Andre Schmidt. Late in the second quarter, though, Phil Jurkovec finds Zay Flowers, this time in the end zone. Pluck it out of the air, big fella. A lead of 7 points at the half. So Syracuse, though, they're looking for a response. Forget about the third. Nothing happened there. We go to the fourth quarter, and how about this? Field goal for 22 yards. Aaron Boumeri makes it a 2-possession game. 2 minutes to go. It's pedal to the metal time for Syracuse. Now 25 seconds to go. Morgan needs a touchdown, and he finds it. Aaron Hackett, he has a nose for the football in the end zone. So Syracuse now, it's onside kick time. It works every time in Madden, right? But Andre Schmidt, you didn't get the new Madden 21? Okay, didn't work out. Syracuse falls 16-13, and there you have it, guys. The Orange, yes, Jacoby Morgan had an up-and-down performance. Looked pretty good at times, but ultimately, they just fell short, Cameron.
Yeah, Syracuse just losing by 3, but that really didn't tell the story. That touchdown to end the game, that pretty much is what cut into the deficit. But a 3-point loss, you have to realize that you got to get in the end zone more. Try to do better in the red zone. This is what the Syracuse offense needs to do moving forward.
Well, Jacoby Morgan would be a great quarterback if he was only judged on the last drives he had in the game. Where was that drive the rest of the game? He had a great fourth quarter drive like he did against Wake Forest. I need more a little bit earlier in the game.
Well, guys, that offense really did not look very pretty from our perspective, especially when Syracuse got close to the red zone. They just could not convert, only got into the end zone once. Settled for a lot of field goals. But let's bring in our very own CitrusTV football beat reporter, Patrick Gunn, who was there and had a better perspective than us. Now, Patrick, from my perspective, the run game was really struggling here. Outside of Sean Tucker, SU netted 0 yards on the ground. What was wrong with the run game?
Well, Brad, there's a couple factors you have to look at when you're looking at Syracuse's run game today. First off, the offensive line. They were horrible. They really couldn't get anything going. Jacoby Morgan had really no time in the pocket to make throwaways, and that affected the run game, especially because they just didn't really have many holes to go through. They were just outbodied every time at the line. And back to the running backs, John Tucker didn't have his horrible game. I thought he made the most of a lot of the plays he had and even broke off a couple nice runs, but he just wasn't really as sharp and as quick as he usually is. And of course, him trying to force more yards after that and that fumble play at the end of the game really did the Orange in at the end of the game there. And most importantly, where was Cooper Lutz? He had a great performance last week against Wake Forest, and he was pretty much non-existent until that last drive when he finally started to get some plays in the air. And I know he's a converted wide receiver to running back, but he's still a great power back when he needed to. And also, the most important thing is that Syracuse's running games, their best attacks are usually provided around multiple different running backs sharing the pie. Dante Strickland and Mo Neal. Last year, Mo Neal and Jarvion Howard and Abdul Adams. This year, they need to get Cooper Lutz and Sean Tucker a little bit more split playing time if they really want to succeed.
Pat, over the last 2 games, this Syracuse rush defense has played a little better, but David Bailey completely ripped them up. 25 carries, 125 yards, another 100-yard rusher. What does this SU defense, or what adjustments does this SU defense need to make, especially facing 2 of the top 5 ACC rush offenses going forward?
Defense, Cam, it wasn't the terrible run defense that we usually see. It wasn't about big plays or 30, 40-yard carries. It was about the intermediate game where they were just keep giving up these 5 to 6 yard rushes each time. But those are also really harmful because A, it allows Boston College to eat up time of possession and keep Syracuse away from getting the ball, and also it allowed them to have these 3rd and short situations. Dracovic wasn't that great as a performance today for quarterback at Boston College. So having those 3rd and short opportunities where they can just give the ball to Bailey and push forward were huge for them. So Syracuse needs to do a better job of tackling at the line of scrimmage and a few yards after, so they don't keep getting these 3rd and short situations. That's where those 3rd round conversions came from. That's where Boston College kept getting time of possession.
Pat, Jacobian Morgan gets his first start for the Orange today. With all things considered, he had a pretty solid day. What are the positive takeaways for the freshman's first start?
Well, Calvin, I'll tell you this about Jacobian Morgan. He might be Syracuse's best quarterback under 2 minutes. That's his 2nd straight game where he has a touchdown when game time. But overall, I thought he was actually a lot better than what we've seen from Rex Culpepper the last few weeks. He was confident in the pocket, and again, he didn't really have much time. A lot of his early passes were tipped. Tosh Harris made some really good plays. And while we're on the wide receivers, I thought he did a much better job connecting because last week Harris just looked lost out there against Wake Forest, but this week he was much more effective and much more eager to play. And so they got Andrew Quealy. So I think that he was just a really efficient. He had a really strong passing game. He was relatively accurate. He made the throws that he needed to. I think the big issue here is the play calling. They didn't really have many creative play calls for Morgan, not a ton of deep balls. There really wasn't that many deep balls until the end of the game when they really had to go deep. So I think we want to test out his arm strength a little bit. He certainly has the power to throw that deep. And also, I just think they need to really be more smart with play calling. Like, I think there was one play in the middle of the game on a 3rd and 8 that they had a designed run play on 3rd and 8. Like, we're not really going to get anywhere with a run like that, so why not just make smarter plays like that? If you want to give the ball the run, you could see that he clearly could run at the end of the game there. Give him better play call for him to run, not the 3rd and 8 where you need that situation, especially with the way the offensive line is playing. He needs, bottom line, Morgan looks good. He should be starting going forward, but he needs some help.
Well, we'll see if Morgan is the guy going forward. For more coverage on Syracuse's 16-13 loss to unranked Boston College, follow Pat Gunn at @PatGunner_ on Twitter and check out CitrusTV.net. Pat, thanks so much and stay safe out there. Now, guys, it seems pretty odd that we've been talking about Syracuse football all this time, but we haven't mentioned one of those buzzwords. And the buzzword today, really this season, especially in the second half, has been Rex Culpepper. He did not play. So, Dino, where was Rex?
Rex suffered an injury in the last game, and that injury hasn't healed yet. So we kind of knew, we were kind of see if he could go. He tried to go during the week. He did go a little bit during the week. And then finally he told us later on in the week that he couldn't go.
So Rex Culpepper on the shelf, that injury that never fully healed, and Jacobian Morgan, who stepped in seamlessly at the end of last week's game, 7 for 7 on an 80-yard drive and a touchdown, guys. He looked really good last week, so it was no surprise that he got the nod this time around. What were your thoughts on the true freshman quarterback?
Yeah, I love Jacobian Morgan and his performance. The best part about Jacobian Morgan is he looks comfortable in the pocket. He looked nifty when he was flushed out of the pocket. 19 for 30, 1 touchdown, an interception, a 63% completion percentage. That's much better than Rex Culpepper. The issue with Culpepper is the mistakes, the inconsistencies, and it's clear he's not ready to be a leader on this team.
Maybe the Rex Culpepper injury could be a blessing in disguise. I agree with you that Jacobian Morgan was very active getting outside the pocket, but my only problem is once you get there, run the football. He runs a 4.7 40. That would be in the top 10 in the NFL. Use your legs, get out of the pocket. He only had one run that I saw of pretty much positive yardage, and that was on that last drive. Run the football. You don't have to throw it every time a pass play is called.
Well, the play calling at times, guys, it was questionable for the true freshman quarterback, but those were the cards that he was dealt. When we return, we're going to hear more from the head man himself. Dino Babers on the other side will tell you what you need to know about the quarterback situation going forward. Don't go anywhere. Orange Press Pass returns in a minute.
Your girls have been with you through every moment of your life. They were with you when you felt unbreakable. With you that time you felt most alone. And with you when you realized you would never be. They were with you when you shared
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass, everyone. Brad Klein, Cameron Azier, and Calvin Christopher with you, breaking down the 16-13 loss for Syracuse against unranked Boston College in the Loud House. And guys, look, there was a lot to like about Jacobian Morgan's performance. His first start as a true freshman, actually the first freshman quarterback to start for Syracuse since, take a guess, guys. Cameron, who was the last freshman quarterback to start for Syracuse?
I could not tell you at all. Your guess will be better than mine.
Calvin, I'll give you a shot. I mean, he didn't even try.
I'm going to be throwing something on the wall, hoping it sticks. I'm going to go Donovan McNabb.
Okay, no, it wasn't. It was actually Rex Culpepper in 2017. True freshman.
Should've had it.
And that was against Boston College as well. So head coach Dino Babers had a little to say about the true freshman's performance this time around.
No one likes losing. I mean, that locker room is, we're all messed up. No one likes losing, but the effort was a good effort. And what I tried to explain is when you put an effort out like that and you don't win, it's damaging. It hurts you. But if you're going to win those type of games, then you can't have the penalties. You can't have the turnovers. It's those things that you don't think is really big until the game is over, and then you wish you had another opportunity to do it. We'll keep playing the guys that can put on their shoulder pads and their cleats and give us the best effort they can give us. And we'll keep growing from there.
So guys, Dino Babers not committing to anyone at the quarterback situation going forward. Calvin, what are your impressions with that?
Well, he shouldn't. The team's got a bye next week, then they go to play Louisville. He shouldn't make a commitment right now. He should make Louisville watch two sets of films, one on Morgan, one on Culpepper. I think Jacobian Morgan is going to be the guy against Louisville, but you can't just say it because then Louisville has a straight path and only has to do half the work.
Yeah, Calvin, Morgan should be the guy. I just like the mentality that Dino Babers took. Come on, fix your mistakes, go back to the drawing board. That's all you can do. It's pretty much been a lost season for 3 weeks now. Everyone thinks you're going 1-10. Prove them wrong by going back to the drawing board and fixing your mistakes.
Now, guys, look, Jacobian Morgan was pretty good at times, showed some flashes there, but it's really hard to win when you have questionable play calling, like Calvin alluded to a minute ago, and a struggling run game. And struggling is an understatement right now for Syracuse. Sean Tucker, the true freshman running back, he had 52 yards, which is a respectable number. But as a team, guys, the Orange netted 0 yards on the ground. Cameron, what do you have to say about this run game?
Sean Tucker needs to run the ball more. Only 11 carries in this game. Against Liberty just a couple weeks ago, 5 yards per carry. Against Clemson, 6 yards per carry. Wake Forest, 5 yards per carry. Come on, Sean Tucker. It's not like Boston College has a better passing defense than running defense or vice versa. They're fifth in both in the ACC. It's not like Sterling Gilbert was trying to mix up the game plan. Sean Tucker is by far your best player. You can't give all the pressure to Jacobian Morgan. We have to see Sean Tucker get the ball more.
Yeah, I agree. Sean Tucker only had 11 carries on the day, and that is not enough, especially when you got a true freshman quarterback in Jacobian Morgan coming in against a banged-up offensive line. The Sean Tucker and the running games needs to be the focus. That will open up a lot more opportunities for Jacobian Morgan in the passing game.
And guys, this is football 101, okay? Run game is important to move the football, but it's also important for pacing and keeping your defense off the field. Boston College won the time of possession battle 39 minutes to 21 minutes. So the run game really not doing Syracuse any favors there. But hey, the Boston College run game looked pretty good too. David Bailey had 125 yards, and Calvin, it's the first time Bailey has eclipsed the century mark since last year's game against Syracuse when he torched the Orange for 172.
David Bailey's favorite color is orange. David Bailey's room is painted orange. David Bailey walks out of bed and eats 6 oranges. He owns Syracuse. The man just runs for career days every time he comes to the Carrier Dome. Last year, Boston College run for 496 yards, and Bailey was a major factor with that, with A.J. Dillon as well. They cannot stop this guy. Another huge day for the BC running back.
You mentioned it. 25 carries, 125 yards. That's 5 yards per carry, folks. The best thing that I saw from David Bailey today was not how he ran the ball, but how he bulldozed forward. BC went 10 for 19 on third downs. Guess how many were picked up by David Bailey? 5 out of the 10. If he can continue doing that, Boston College is going to have success moving forward, and Syracuse got a punch in the mouth from Bailey today.
Hold on, I have to circle back to this. Kelvin, what did you say? David Bailey eats oranges, he drinks orange juice, his room, what is that again? What?
David Bailey owns the Syracuse Orange.
Quite literally.
Either way, it sounded like a lot of vitamin C, maybe even too much. Hey guys, either way, Taj Harris and Anthony Quealy on the Syracuse offense, both receiving pretty well, but they really had to carry the bulk of the load. 10 catches, 110 yards between the two of them. Just to go back to the way Morgan played, more specifically with the weapons around him, Cameron, what were your opinions on the way Taj Harris and Anthony Quealy played around Jacoby and Morgan?
Yeah, Taj Harris needs to be the #1 receiver on this team in terms of yards for Syracuse to be successful at all. He was today. I think Anthony Quealy can do a better job on slant routes. I also think that Jacoby and Morgan has to open up the field more, and it starts with play calling on the end of Sterling Gilbert. Get Taj Harris and Anthony Quealy going long. I criticize Tommy DeVito and Rex Culpepper for what they do is they just throw the ball deep. But that's something Jacoby and Morgan needs to do more.
Yeah, Harris has had a big day, but where is Nykeem Johnson? 1 catch for 4 yards, and where's the tight ends? They got to get those 2 guys involved if they want to have success going forward.
Yeah, those tight ends look pretty good in the red zone. Aaron Hackett with the lone receiving touchdown for Syracuse today. But guys, that's going to put a bow on our reactions for Jacoby and Morgan for the Boston College run defense, run game, I should say. When we come back on Orange Press Pass, we're going to play a little game I like to call Buy or Sell. Pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to really dive into it on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Orange Press Pass returns in a minute.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back into the CitrusTV studios. I'm Brad Klein alongside Cameron Nazir and Calvin Cristoforo, breaking down Syracuse's 16-13 loss in the Loud House to unranked Clemson. And guys, I'm tired of all these formalities. Here's what we have to talk about. No, let's loosen the tie, play a little game. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Sounds great, Brad.
Cameron, we're going to start with you on a little game I like to call Buy or Sell here. Now, pretty self-explanatory. You're a smart guy, so here we go. buy or sell the Syracuse passing defense, because Boston College, they're known as a throw-first team. Phil Jurkovec actually going into this game leading the ACC in passing yards, and Boston College was only held to under 210.
Yeah, I'm buying the Syracuse pass defense. They average 241 pass yards. That's how much they give up a game. That's in the ACC. That's number 9 in the ACC. Now, that's pretty much the exact same clip that Clemson gave up against Boston College. They gave up 208. Clemson gave up 204. Not to mention, Syracuse is dead last in rush offense, pass offense, and rush defense. Something's got to give, and I think it starts with this pass defense.
Cam, I am selling this SU pass defense because you didn't mention one thing, and that is turnovers. Where'd they go? They didn't get one against Wake Forest. They didn't get one against Boston College. The last one they got was Garrett Williams' pick 6 against Trevor Lawrence, and that was on a tip. They need to force turnovers, set this offense up with short fields. They are not doing that right now, and that is why I'm selling them.
Turnovers, that's really the name of the game. And Jacoby Morgan, in his first career start, only had the one. It was the interception. Granted, he was throwing into like triple coverage there, so wasn't a great look for the true freshman. But Calvin, where do you stand? Buy or sell on Jacoby Morgan as the starter moving forward?
I am selling him for the end of this season, and there's a couple reasons why. Number one, Rex Culpepper is a senior. He's gone through a lot in his time at Syracuse, and he, I think, deserves to start the rest of the games these seasons. And Jacoby Morgan isn't doing much better than Culpepper did. In Culpepper's first start this season, he had about the same yards and found the end zone 3 times, did the 1 interception. Morgan only had 1 touchdown today, 1 pick. I think Rex Culpepper deserves to be the guy going forward, and that's where I think Dino Baber should turn.
Now, I'm going to buy on Jacoby Morgan because Rex Culpepper, his success is predicated on where the defense puts his offense on the field. Rex Culpepper has more interceptions than touchdowns. He has more missed passes than completions. One thing with Jacoby Morgan is he looks comfortable in the pocket. He looks comfortable throwing the ball downfield. I'm buying on Jacoby Morgan because who else are you going to turn to?
Once teams get film on Morgan, though, it could be a different story.
Keep an eye on Dylan Markowitz, too. Dino Babers might want to get Markowitz a look, especially because you don't want to blow that year of eligibility for Jacoby Morgan. There are a few games left on the schedule, and Cameron, that's really the name of the game here. Buy or sell that Syracuse gets another win.
I'm selling. You have NC State, Louisville, and Notre Dame, 2 of which are on the road. I don't think they win away from home. They lose on an average of 21 points when they're away from the Dome. There's no chance that Syracuse wins those 2 games. I think their biggest opportunity is against NC State. But that NC State team is good, and even though they're sneaky at moments, I think they beat Syracuse in the Dome.
Are they going to win a game? Yes, I am buying this. There's no doubt in my mind, Cam, because I'm a believer. They're going to beat Louisville after a break off, a full week off, a bye week. They're going to do all their prep from Louisville, their only night game of the season. They're going to go down to Kentucky and steal a win. This team is right on the cusp, I think. They could have done it today. A couple balls bounced their way, but I think they're getting a dub against the Louisville Cardinals in 2 weeks.
We'll see, Calvin. I mean, the mantra behind bye weeks are get healthy, and maybe Rex Culpepper gets healthy. Maybe he starts the next game against Louisville. A lot of variables. We'll see how Syracuse fares. Now, guys, on the other side, I like hearing from you, so we're going to hear your final thoughts after a few minutes. Orange Press Pass returns in a bit.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass, everybody. Brad Klein alongside Cameron Nazir and Calvin Cristoforo putting a bow on this Syracuse loss, 16-13. Down go the Orange in the Loud House to Boston College. And guys, not looking great if you're Syracuse, but let's take a look at what the rest of the ACC is looking like. Miami, not pictured here, but they're one of the teams to look for if you're Syracuse. And how about Virginia Tech, Cameron? Losing by 3 to number 25 Liberty. It looks like Syracuse is not the only victim for the Flames.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That Liberty loss looks a little better now. And you mentioned Miami. It's not on the screen, but I want to talk about it. De'Aaron King has shown time and time again that he can single-handedly keep this Miami team in the conversation for an ACC championship bid. A big win over NC State could have been a disaster.
Cam, there's one game on that screen. It's Clemson, Notre Dame, tonight, South Bend, Indiana. ACC championship game potential on the line. All the marbles, 1v4. Clemson, Notre Dame is the only game you got to look at up there.
All right, fine. I mean, if you're such a big Clemson Notre Dame fan, Calvin, then I'm sure you'd have no problem spelling and pronouncing the Clemson quarterback's name.
DJ Uiagalelei.
You know what? Valiant attempt. I'll give it to you. Hey, DJ Uiagalelei is number 1 on the QB depth chart right now with Trevor Lawrence out because of COVID. And the Tigers are number 1 in the country, number 1 in the standings. They're looking pretty good, but that Notre Dame game is really going to be the difference. And Cameron, you want to talk about Miami. They're right on the cusp, the outside looking in, and number 3 in the conference. Doesn't look very good for Syracuse that they're not even on the screen, right?
Yeah, the only teams that you have to focus on are Clemson, Notre Dame, and Miami. They're running away with the conference quite literally. I think Clemson still has the best chance to win the ACC, even with Trevor Lawrence sidelined today.
Yeah, but don't sleep on North Carolina, too. They could still hang around here. Sure, they've had some bad losses that past couple of weeks, but the Tar Heels still have a great quarterback in Sam Howell. They could be dangerous going forward.
All right, guys. Well, the Syracuse Orange did not make the full screen there for the standings. Neither did Louisville. The Cardinals are really struggling. 1-5 in conference play to Syracuse is 1-6. Calvin, who do you have here? What do you expect?
I already said Syracuse is going to win this game. They're going to get 2 weeks to prep for Louisville. Sean Tucker is hopefully going to be back healthy. Syracuse gets some injury players back. I think the Orange have a great chance to win this game.
Calvin, you're forgetting one name. That's Javion Hawkins for Louisville. His past 2 games, 16 for 174 yards and then 17 carries for 129. It's going to be a day unlike any other for Javion Hawkins against this SU rush defense.
Both teams were bitten by the injury bug. Syracuse, of course, at the quarterback position, and Louisville, too, with Malik Cunningham going down with a devastating knee injury earlier in the year. But, guys, let's go back to Syracuse here. Final thoughts, Cameron, on Syracuse's 16-13 loss.
Run defense needs to be better, especially going into Louisville into a couple weeks. It starts with Sean Tucker, ends with Cooper Lutz. They need to get involved.
My final thought is RELAX. One out of Aaron Rodgers' playbook there. Relax. Yeah, Syracuse is 1-7, but they have a lot of young talent on this team. I think the future is very bright.
RELAX. Hey, you couldn't spell the Clemson quarterback's name, but hey, RESPECT, pretty good. That's pretty good spelling. You got into Newhouse. You're smart. I got you. Look, guys, 16-13, Syracuse loses. Again, it's not looking great for the Orange. Calvin's an optimist, Cameron a pessimist, but either way, not sure exactly how the rest of the season is going to go with a true freshman, Jacobian Morgan, potentially at the helm. That's all we have for you on this edition of Orange Press Pass. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV Sports. Check out our TikTok _CitrusTV_. Hey, check us out. We'll get some cranberry juice for you. Fleetwood Mac reference. Don't know if you're really into that. Again, Brad Klein, Cameron Nazir, and Calvin Cristoforo saying so long as Syracuse loses 16-13.